most cases, it's a series of elements that come together at the same time, where you start recognizing that there's no one solution to trading problems. There's a series of solutions. There's a series of things that happen to you, perhaps simply going with the trend instead of going against the trend, or simply not going with the trend and going against the trend. Maybe that suits your style. Or perhaps it's the addition of an order flow signal, or perhaps it's the addition of volume, or perhaps it's the addition of patience. Perhaps it's a psychological addition that you've added, where you simply go from a very conservative, very unconnected trader to a very aggressive stance, where you want to trade pretty much everything. When Laurie looks as if part of that process was connecting to the market and saying, look, I don't want a day off, I want to do as much business now as possible, that might be the change. That might be something where you're saying, you know what, it's actually being connected to the markets, doing my 10,000 hours that's made the difference. Actually putting in the 10,000 hours and starting to recognize what it is that's making a difference to the outcomes. And that journey is not a journey that somebody can pinpoint for you. That's a personal journey. That's something that's particular to them, where they've realized that this is what they need to make the transition. And then all they need to now do is develop and solidify that transition. Make sure there's plenty of screenshots of what you're doing right, so that you don't forget the steps along the way, which is easy to happen. And then just start increasing one or two contracts in size each time you get a compound effect, and start compounding on those transitions, not adding new stuff to it, not adding new wrinkles to it, improving the stuff you've got at the moment, trying to get an extra tick out of the trade without losing what the trade is all about, trying to get an extra contract on the trade instead of trying to get a new trade, just trying to increase slowly but considerably the size that happens in those trades. And that's what we start to look for as traders. And as I said, Laurie's story is going to be different from Nessie's story, that's going to be different from Sam's story, that's going to be different from Reeve's story, which is going to be different from John's story and Paul's story and everybody else's story. Everybody's story is going to be different, and everybody's story is going to require something slightly different to be successful. Your job is to try and figure out what it is that you're not doing right to become successful, because at the end of the day, you're all using similar R-squared narratives. You're all using similar R-squared narratives. They're not always the same, but it's the combination of time. It's a combination of factors. Was it a change in the time frame that maybe improved your triggering technique, the process of what you're doing? There's a lot of things that you could say, that's the reason why I became successful. But it probably isn't just one thing. It's probably a series of different things. Always remember that, guys. You might only be a millimeter away from where that success rests. And now your job is to try and develop and solidify whatever it is that you're doing right.